Okay, well, thank you for joining us. We're going to talk about DranSCADA in this section here. DranSCADA is, of course, on our website at any time during our presentation here or afterwards. You can hit this link, dranits.com/product/DranSCADA if you'd like more information on our website. Well, the first question is, what is DranSCADA? It's an ultra-modern web-enabled graphical HMI and SCADA visualization software. DranSCADA, I should say, is a live dashboard for your system. It is a collection of real-time information and visual information about your plant, your facility, your utility, your process, whatever we program DranSCADA to do on your behalf. Its primary objective is to overlay real-time metering and alarming information and system status and other information on top of a picture or graphical representation of your facility. And that can include one-lines, flow diagrams, photos, two-dimensional, three-dimensional images, anything you want to put up there, we can put up there and overlay your real-time information. So you can see this is actually taken from our demonstration site, and this is a one-line diagram of our demonstration site. Our demonstration site is installed here at our factory in New Jersey, in Edison, and we have a power feed from Public Service Electric and Gas, who is our local utility, which branches out into the various aspects of that. And you can see, as we have had for many, many years, we have a representation of most of our current offered fixed products installed at our service entrance, and they are also part of our demonstration site here. And Thurman will elaborate on that. So some other information you get and things to know about DranSCADA is that it is a generic data acquisition tool. I'm going to compare DranSCADA to our other software. I think it's in the next slide or sometime soon. But it's important to know that it's generic and it's not dedicated to power or power quality in any way. It has generic interfaces which can work with virtually any meter from any manufacturer. So it's not necessarily Dranits. It can certainly be Dranits products, but there's no need to tie it to Dranits in any way. Chances are, if you have a system installed of meters and sensors and things, DranSCADA can interface to it, as well as anything new that you may install. It is not only a visual interface, like the one line that I showed you on the previous slide. It's real-time dashboards and meters with trending and alarming of any point, but also you can see what's going on over a particular period of time. So you want to look at your power utilization at any particular time and have a historical trend, fuel levels, anything that can be trended and acquired in real time is gathered and is presented to you in a nice, easy to use format. So we have real-time dials, gauges, widgets, with alarm set points so you can easily visualize your system status and get alarms and notifications if anything hits a particular threshold, low fuel, an alarm hits, a breaker opens, your demand exceeds a limit. Things like that, you can proactively see visually on the screen, but also get notified. So when you're not looking at the screen, you can be made aware of these situations. So what is DranSCADA versus DranView and PQView? So first let's summarize what the Dranit software typically does. So we have DranView, presently DranView 7 is our PQ and analysis reporting software for use with Dranit's portable products. So the focus is on the Dranit's products and our portable products. Very good software, but the focus is on the Dranit's portable products. Similar but a little different, PQView and its Dranits edition, PQView DE, well, they're enterprise management software. Again, the focus is on power quality, but it's for analysis reporting for fixed PQ products from Dranits in the case of PQView DE, and from Dranits and other manufacturers in the case of PQView. So visualization software for power quality, wave shapes, trends, and things, but all things power quality. They're very good, but it's not generic software for your facility. Well, DranSCADA is that generic visualization software for the entire facility and is not PQ focused. It brings new capabilities to the DranSCADA offering, unlike any other DranSCADA software. So this is complementary to the DranSCADA software. It does not replace the DranSCADA software. So DranSCADA has many capabilities and is customized to the needs of the end user. And those are the things we'll talk about a little bit later. It's not necessarily sold off the shelf, although we have basic products, or I should say packages that we're going to be made available, but it is customized to your applications. The one line of your facility is very different from the facility next door. So we need to represent that. So as I said before, DranSCADA meters are certainly compatible with DranSCADA, but are not required in any way. Virtually any meter or sensor from any manufacturer is compatible, just assuming that it supports one of the many communication protocols available in DranSCADA. And it does support certainly all of the most common protocols and a lot of the protocols that are not so common today. So again, DranSCADA and DranView/PQView, they complement each other. They can work alongside each other. They serve different end user needs. So we have systems out there with PQView and PQView-D working alongside DranSCADA. So the DranSCADA software manages the monitoring system and works back and forth and sends notifications to DranSCADA for alarming purposes. So Thurman will show you this, but if I go back 2 slides, these little dots over here, those are alarms on these particular meters that are triggered or turn to red when a particular event condition has occurred that you want to see. So again, DranSCADA does not replace PQView or DranView. It works alongside these particular software packages, especially PQView, which is very appropriate in a fixed monitoring application. So what are some of the questions, excuse me, that DranSCADA can help you answer? And these are not all of them, but a lot of facility and plant management things. So do I have enough power? Do you have capacity for your loads? And what is your current capacity utilization at particular parts that are of interest to you in your facility? By process, by feed, by sub-panel, whatever is important to you. And along those lines, how much energy am I consuming? Maybe for costing. I want to marry up to my electric bill, make sure I'm getting charged fairly by the utility. Or I have certain processes from an accounting standpoint. I want to understand what are the costs so I can see whether, what the overall cost is for that particular process. It's beyond the bill of materials and the cost of purchasing parts for a process, but what is the overhead and energy and other applications? And by the way, this does not have to be electrical energy. This can be any form of energy that's monitored. So gas, steam, water, other types of energy in parallel or in place of electrical energy that we traditionally talk about in a DranSCADA environment. So is your critical equipment protected? So you can monitor your UPSs and your PDUs and your switchgear around it to make sure that everything is working to your expectations. Is it time for maintenance? Are things going awry and alarms happening that it's time to call on the maintenance team, either for scheduled or unscheduled maintenance for your system? Do you have capacity for future growth? In other words, this is what my facility is consuming today. Do I have room for an expansion that I may want to have, adding a product line or a manufacturing line without adding more capacity to the facility? Other questions, what are your switch and breaker positions and status? And am I on my primary power? Am I on my alternate power? Am I on your backup power? Things like that. Am I producing energy? Am I consuming energy? I have gas generators. What are my fuel levels? Are they sufficient? There's much, much more. These are just some popular questions that can be answered and information that DranSCADA can provide to its users. So what are some of the applications? And these are just some highlights and subcategories within each. There's certainly many, many more. Really, it's not up to us what the application is. It's up to what your needs are, whether they do or do not fall into these different categories. So really, DranSCADA puts a visualization and a dashboard on your facility. So that can be any type of facility. But major applications are industrial and manufacturing. So automotive, food and beverage, water treatment, any type of manufacturing plant for process control. Then you have healthcare. Of course, that's monitoring a healthcare facility is paramount. People's lives and health are at stake. So, those can be individual hospitals, surgery centers, laboratories, R&D facilities, X-ray facilities, outpatient, whatever it may be. Critical power. Critical powers, we talk about data centers and mission critical. So healthcare facilities, their data center, utilities, their data center, communications, such as the cellular companies in the US, Verizon, AT&T, companies like that, internet facilities, internet communications, monitoring the backbone and the health of the background. So really critical power is anything that's mission critical to you and your application. Government, EPA requirements, federal buildings, embassies, military applications. We even have shipboard applications for our products that are certainly within the scope of DranSCADA. Buildings and offices. So managing your building, managing tenants, whether it be residential or commercial, for retail or office space, whatever it may be. You get a handle on what the energy utilization is. Do I have the capacity in my building, and what are each of my tenants consuming, so I can make sure that they're billed appropriately for their usage. You can look at the environment, HVAC, different things like that. Higher education. And that is not only for the education of the students there, but it's to manage the facilities. A lot of colleges and universities are large campuses. We're a stone's throw from Rutgers University, one of the largest universities in the country. I think there's over 70,000 students scattered around the state. So there's a lot of facilities to monitor. People need to manage that. And certainly in the times, a lot of them use alternative energy. So your application may or may not fall into this exact or one of these exact things, but I think you guys get the idea what the capabilities are. So we'll just cover a few of them. You have industrial and demand management. So I have some sort of plant, I'm manufacturing something. I need to manage the capacity of that plant and maybe manage all the utilities, including energy. I want to make sure that each process is running efficiently. I've reduced energy where my energy reduction has been attempted. I've installed new lighting. I want to manage that. I've improved the efficiency of my process. So if you can't measure it if you don't monitor it, and this is all part of that, putting a nice pretty dashboard on your particular image for you. So you can have historians and data loggers, so you can see a trend. You can go back in time and look at any particular parameter that's been monitored. You can include other external resources, in this case maybe weather and other things, to maybe pre-plan whether you have to get your backup generators ready to go if a backup storm or a storm is on the way. And you want to be able to predict upcoming peak and demand things. So are you reaching your demand limits? Are you reaching power factor limits in your bill or in your billing structure? Things like that. You can proactively monitor a facility, not just its power and power quality that's specific to a DranSCADA. So data center management, there's a whole thing. This is mission critical. This can be anything that's run by servers and critical equipment that's usually backed up by UPSs and other things like that. The benefits of a DranSCADA is the multiple vendor integration. So you can have switchgear from one company, UPSs from another, metering from another, and all the various switching and the other stuff, and also in combination with the IT equipment from other manufacturers. So DranSCADA can pull all this stuff together for you by utilizing the various protocols that it supports. So that's for data management. PUE stands for power utilization efficiency. That's basically letting you know how efficient your facility is and what percentages of power is the IT equipment using over the entire facility. It's a whole other thing in the industry, so that DranSCADA can provide. So that's energy usage. Of course, the PQ analytics, which is the DranSCADA's flair and specialty in this whole process, but that's critical in any such facility. Looking at events and determining their activity, and the whole point is, proactively find things ahead of time, but reactively be able to get back up and running very quickly. And event notification of enterprise level monitoring, making sure your backup generators are up and running correctly. You get a whole dashboard and a facility-wide overview of what's going on. So process flow management, and this is just a diagram of one of the capabilities of DranSCADA. This is a particular hypothetical process here, and you can look at it in the eyes of making sure that every individual element of that process is working within its own specifications and requirements and efficiencies, and you can set up alarms, but also the total process on energy conservation and energy efficiency for all of the different utility types that you have. You can look for process interruptions and alarms and help mitigate those issues. You can have highly responsive real-time updates and proactively notify you of any trigger conditions. Either soft that an alarm is getting close or a hard failure in any particular thing. And you can even animate this. This is actually an animated picture here if you wish to do that within your DranSCADA environment. Healthcare, various applications in healthcare. You, of course, have the mission critical part, which is more like a data center, but this is a critical power center, with surgery rooms, emergency rooms, and various things. And there actually are some compliance requirements. The Joint Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Organizations lays down some requirements for healthcare facilities that DranSCADA can help you see if you're within compliance and identify those parameters so you can proactively keep track of those. But again, we're talking about critical power, backup power, notifications. It's a building management and monitoring system, and that can go into reports and billing and different types of utilities, such as what I mentioned before, and it does not have to be electrical energy. So in this case is hot water, steam, fuel, can be gas, and virtually any other type of utility. So a little bit about DranSCADA, and we just went through some of the applications. By no means is it limited in application to those that we summarized. Those just happen to be some very common ones. So back focusing on what is DranSCADA, well, it's really available in 3 editions. And if you go to our webpage, you will see the various details by check marks on what's available in each edition. But just to summarize, again, there's Standard Edition, Professional Edition, and Enterprise. And they go from kind of like good, better, best kind of approach. And it also approaches their cost levels in low, medium, and high cost, depending upon your needs and your facility. Again, this is tailored towards your application. So for the Standard Edition, typically it's smaller facilities with more limited communications and limited UI or user interface requirements. Professional, well, that's medium to large size. Now you're getting in a reasonable size facility. You typically need wide communication support for various types of meters and sensors that you may have, and expanded user interface capabilities. Maybe you want some of those animations or 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional sort of plots. And then Enterprise, very large applications and or those that require a lot of database integration. This supports Microsoft SQL, 3D, email. So it tends to be for a little bit larger applications. And we will help you choose the version that's more appropriate. And just in summary, I'm not going to read all of these, but these are the interfaces and capabilities available within DranSCADA. Just note that every edition does not have every capability here. So it is edition dependent. And that chart that I was referring to on our website will summarize that for you very well. But in general, you see very common protocols. Modbus and DMP3 are very, very common. User interfaces, a lot of people like one-line diagrams, which gives the electrical flow of their facility, overlaying real-time and breaker and PDU and branch circuit monitoring, whatever it may be. Background imagery, maybe pictures or photographs of your facility, even photographs of the metering, which terminals show, and other sorts of information about your facility, trending and alarming and meters. Well, the architecture, it is web browser-based software. It has a built-in web server, regardless of the standard all the way up through the professional edition. Very secure, HTTPS. It's developed in HTML5, so it's very, very mobile device capable with a responsive web server. Operating systems, anything from XP and above, and also Linux. If you run in a Linux environment, it is compatible with that. Various SQL and Microsoft SQL servers, as well as email integration to push out emails and receive emails from various systems. So pushing out an email may be an alarm notification that it sends to a distribution list, as an example. So just to wrap things up, and then we'll turn it over to Thurman. These are things that we need to know to specify DranSCADA. And as I said before, we'll be offering some generic packages, but 90% of the people will require customization for what they need, certainly in the screens and the number of monitoring points, and how they want to visualize things in the various sensors. So these are things to know when specifying a DranSCADA system. And these are things that we'd like you as our users to understand, but as we discuss it with you. So we need to know the total number of tags or parameters. These are individual things. So as an example, in the power world, voltage A, B, and C for phases A, B, and C are 3 tags or parameters. So each individual monitored parameter is a tag. And this is contrary to a DranIT's monitoring system where we talk about a complete meter as being a monitoring device. So for DranSCADA's purposes, due to its a wide variety of compatibility, each individual parameter that you want to keep track of is one monitoring point. So we need to know a little bit about the types and the number of devices to be monitored and their communication protocols. And if any custom communication devices are needed. So do you have a particular manufacturer that does not support these things? What sort of customization do you need? The number of screens and displays and user interfaces. How do you want your system to be visualized? You can choose some standard stuff that we have or make it anything that you want or anything in between. So really we need to know what you want to see and what you want to be overlaid and displayed on top of that. Real-time meters, switch positions, breakers, alarms, and so have you. We should know a little bit about your server requirement needs. You want this hosted in the cloud locally, and what are the server requirements? And there may be a little work with your IT department. Alarming and notification requirements are important. Any computation and reporting requirements, like that PUE calculation. That's a little bit of math that DranSCADA has to do to present that to you, and other things along those lines. It's important to know your growth plans. We do a lot of projects that start manageable and then grow year after year as they budget. So you can budget an X amount of dollars in the first year and continue to grow that project, through the life of the facility. And also what support and maintenance requirements. Support is extremely important just to manage changes in operating systems and security flaws in operating systems and things like that, which often require the application to change. So the point being is that these are things that we will discuss with you. The DranIT's engineers, Thurman, myself to some extent, Ken, will work very closely with our sales team and you to basically identify and develop the requirements and specify them for your particular application. So we can properly assess what your needs are, and it'll help you answer some questions as well.